Hello everyone, and welcome to the Owner's Box After Dark. Told you I was going to get one. Very similar to Hef's preferred pipe. So, I want to welcome you to the 12th episode of the Owner's Box After Dark. We are filming it today from the palatial Fulton Pond Studios Studio B. We're not in Studio A, where we normally are, which is the one that overlooks beautiful Fulton Pond. We are in what used to be my bedroom when I was a young tyke. Now it's my, you might call it my office, I guess. So, without further ado, I have plenty of great news for you today. In fact, today was the day that I had my knee surgery. Now, you're wondering, probably, why is he so chipper? Why does he have a pipe? Why is he dressed in a shirt and tie? Well, I just sort of felt that it was a special occasion, so I wanted to mark it in a manner worthy of what happened today. To be honest with you, I feel great. I had my surgery at the Brigham and Women's Mass General complex there at Gillette Stadium and Patriot Place. And my surgeon's name is Dr. Elizabeth Matzkin. Now, she is, as I've said before, without mentioning her name, she is a extremely accomplished young woman. She used to be the team doctor at Duke University. She spent several years at the University of Hawaii. And she, most recently, she lectures at Harvard, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And she is has been the team physician and surgeon for the United States national women's soccer team. Now, tell you the truth, that's probably the best team we have in the Olympics right now of any of the sports. And as I've said many times, I believe that she has wasted her formidable talents fixing my knee. But I can tell you, I have a belief that she's a great surgeon, because I don't feel a thing right now, and it's not the drugs. Went in at 7 o'clock this morning. Actually, I was there at the facility at 6. And people who know me know that I am absolutely not a morning person. I am someone who would prefer to be after dark. And so I was there as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and dressed as comfortably as possible. And at 7 o'clock, I was upstairs. They started prepping me. And I'm not exactly sure when the surgery started, because just as we hit the doors to the operating room, the drugs kicked in and I was out like a light. I remember very little of it, except for the fact that just before all this happened, I did ask Dr. Matzkin for permission to use her name. And she kind of chuckled a little bit, like, what is this guy talking about? But I was so happy that she agreed. And so now the rehab and everything that will get me back on my feet will begin. Actually, I've been on my feet all day, and they actually tell you it was an arthroscopic procedure. They went in to clean out the meniscus, which was torn in several places. They wanted me to. She was going to look at a couple of other areas, and if there was a little cleanup she could do, I'm sure she would do it. Now, I haven't had a chance to look at any after surgery notes. They usually send those things to you here at your home via the Partners Health Care Gateway. And as always, you can see just about everything that had to do with any visit. So I'll be eager to look and see how extensive the work was. Now, I got to admit, it's a very professional. It has always been. Anytime I've always had to deal with Brigham and Women's, I've been extremely happy. As many of you know, and as some of you don't, I had a mild stroke right at the end of 2014. And just before I continue on that, you'll forgive me if I happen to be a little scratchy voice tonight. It's not that I smoke. I don't smoke. You can see this thing's empty. Maybe I will try pipe smoking someday. Who knows? Hey, I'm 66. How many more years do I have, right? So, right around the end of 2014, I started having headaches one night as I was working at the paper. And the headaches didn't go away. And Saturday, I still had them. Sunday, I went to the Patriots-Bills game. It was the regular season finale. And it was at Foxborough, at Gillette Stadium. And I was bouncing into people and bouncing into things. And I couldn't quite figure out why. It was like I was just more clumsy than usual. And you know, let's face it, I'm a clumsy guy. There's no question about it. But this was a day that was clumsy to the max. So I went to bed. The next morning I got up and I could only see half of my computer screen. Everything to the left was okay. Everything to the right I could not see. It just like it wasn't there. So at that point I knew there was something terribly wrong. I called a friend and told her, and she said that I should get my ass to the urgent care facility at Patriot Place as soon as possible. She said, don't go to the hospital in Attleboro. I have nothing against them, but, you know, some people think it's because it's in Attleboro, it's a rinky-dink hospital. But she wanted me to go to Brigham because this particular person had suffered multiple cases of ovarian cancer, and she's still alive, which is amazing. The reason why is she got treated at Brigham and at Dana-Farber, and those people work miracles. I swear to God. So this is right after Christmas, so I go to the urgent care facility, and within a half hour they had me going up to Boston to Brigham and Women's, and it was an extremely busy night. There were I was on a gurney in the hallway for hours, to be honest. And when they finally got me into a room, and my friends showed up, two of them, probably the closest people in my life, they waited for the treatment and all that, and at some point they realized that, yes, indeed, he had had a stroke, and we were going to be keeping Mark overnight and for the next 6 days at Brigham and Women's. What a facility and what treatment. These people were incredible, and it was a very mild stroke. I have no impairment except my brain. As you can see, I do silly things like hold a pipe, but I've been doing that since I was 5 years old anyway, so not the pipe especially, but so that's not because of the stroke, but they had to find out other aspects about why I had it, and part of it was diabetes, and part of it was high blood pressure. But the funny thing is, they say that I had a little rogue blood vessel somewhere up there that probably wasn't supposed to be in the place it was, and one day it just decided to go, and that was it. It bled a little bit, didn't bleed a lot, but it's what caused that stuff to go wrong. And it was on the what would be my left side of my head, so all the vision problems were on the right side. That's the way it works, apparently. So they did everything they could. They got me on medications. Once they realized I was good enough to go, six days later, I was back. And I had been on medical leave from the newspaper for a while, and I'll tell you one thing. I fought like hell to get to the next game, and I did. I never missed a game because the Patriots had the bye week before going into the playoffs. And then later I accompanied the Patriots, as many of you know, to Phoenix for that Super Bowl. And it was the Super Bowl 49. That was the Malcolm Butler Super Bowl. And I'm glad I didn't miss it, but the fact of the matter is the doctors were not happy with me. The air travel, they thought, was going to go bing, 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 bing again. But it didn't, and I made it through, and I have not had any such problems since because I'm on medications. I take them religiously, and as a result, even though I'm not as thin as I'd like to be, there's a lot of things that are good about me. But part of the problem with the weight is that, it exacerbated and aggravated an injury from high school, which I've told you folks about before. So I don't know exactly where I was going with all that, but I just wanted to say Brigham and Women's is terrific, and I highly recommend it. I'm not getting paid for this endorsement, and I'm very appreciative that someone with a great resume like Dr. Matzkin could actually do surgery on a schmuck like me. So, it lasted only about, well, I'll say, like I said, I got in there at 6. I was in the prep room at 7, and I was in a car heading back to home at about 9:45. So day surgery. It's great. Now, if I sound a little raspy voice tonight, it's not for any medical reason except for the fact that once I was out like a light, they stuffed a hose down my throat, a breathing hose basically. So I was out. I had no idea that I did. I never saw a knife. I never saw any. I remember a couple people talking to me. They said, you might feel something warm. And as soon as I felt something warm, it was, and that was that. I was out like a light. So I've done something a little different in this episode. I actually filmed something when I first got home, or at least a little while after I got home, just to show you some of the damage. Nothing that's uncovered. I had no open sores or anything like that. They have wrapped both of my legs in compression socks, and apparently I can't take them off for 2 days. So as a result, I will be smelling pretty bad by the end of the week. What is today? Today's Tuesday, right? Yeah. Okay. Yes, in fact, it is Tuesday, August 11th, 2020, here in the owner's box after dark. And actually, it's not dark yet outside. In fact, I'm recording this at 6:30 p.m., so I'm kind of lying about the after dark part, but you will watch it after dark, so what? So I did record a couple of moments of discussion under a wonderful shade tree just right after we had a massive thunderstorm here. So without any further ado, please enjoy that. Okay, that is my knee and my leg, and that's a cheese grater. Yep, as you can probably see, a little padding there where the incision was. That was arthroscopic surgery, so she basically goes in with a little pipe-like thing, takes a look around, and then goes in with another little pipe-like thing, and that has the knife at the end of it, and she cuts out the crap that's in there. I had meniscus damage, so a lot of stuff on this side came out from where she was looking in there. She probably did a little cleanup on this side and may have worked on the bones a little bit too. So word has it that I've got to wear these things for 2 days to begin with, so I won't be showering. So right now the best I can do is just to sit underneath this spreading shade tree, feel a little warmth and a hint of the sun from time to time, and a few raindrops that are still in the leaves from an earlier downpour we had. The knee is feeling good. We are more than 8.5 hours after the procedure, and the pills have kicked in, but I really wasn't feeling any pain anyway. So basically, I think we're over this hump so far, and we'll see how it responds over the next couple of days. But believe me, it is a weight off the shoulders. One obstacle overcome. More to come, I'm sure. And hello again. Welcome back to another segment of The Owner's Box After Dark. And no, I have not forgotten. Even though I've gone more casual in my attire. Well, sorry about that. I'm trying to remember which side that Hef held it on. I think he held it mostly on this side. Okay, and then sometimes he would talk like... But then again, he had a little mumbly voice anyway, so... Well, Barbie Benton, you look quite nice tonight. You know, so... Yeah, Barbie Benton ain't coming here. She's 70-something years old, and she's still not going to come. Is she still alive? I'm not even sure about that. I'll have to look that up. Anyway, the reason why we are in Studio B, as I like to call it, is because I no longer have a desktop computer. And that was part of the fun that led up to my production of the knee episode. Yesterday, I was basically just about to go to bed. Actually, yesterday was Monday. I'll figure this out in a second. Sunday night. I was about ready to go to bed. And I wanted to do a little bit of computing, just a few minor things. And I strolled in here, which is where I keep my desktop, because it's basically where I do most of my work. Financial, paying the bills, sometimes, sending bills to the Associated Press. There won't be many of those this year. So I started working on it, and it was really slow. It just was like taking forever. It's about an 8-year-old Dell. And I figured I'd be in pretty good shape if I just turn it off, restart it. So I go through all the process of restarting, and the screen turns off and everything, but the thing's still computing. I'm still hearing a thing going away. Now, I worry at times like that has someone hacked my computer, or is it a virus, something like that? Truthfully, it wasn't. As it turns out, like an idiot, I found out that it was an update that was coming in, and Microsoft will not shut off a computer until they finish with the update. Well, I hit the button for 10 seconds and it turned off, and of course that screwed up everything. So the next 10 times I tried to turn it on, I was getting the blue screens of death. And Windows 10 allows you to do all sorts of ways to repair it, but even the worst case scenario, nuclear option, as they would say, the button where it says you can reload Windows and keep your files, but all of your programs that you've loaded since you bought the computer will be wiped off. I went for that after several hours of trying to figure out how this was going to work. So I did that, and wouldn't you know it, 67% of the load comes in, and zoom, I get this message: cannot do it. Can't fix it. Well, at that point, it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had to get up earlier the next morning to do something as well. But then I also figured I'll just deal with all this. So the next morning I get up and I call Microsoft tech support. I'll give the guy credit. He tried his best. I mean, gave me all sorts of options. He connected with the computer remotely. We loaded something that should have avoided Windows to be able to log it on a different way. None of it worked. And the reason why, as it turned out, was this 8-year-old Dell Inspiron, which was a good computer. It served me well all this time. Had a older BIOS system. Now, I'm not a computer geek, but I know that there's a system inside the computer that allows it to run operating systems. And that system in that 8-year-old computer was old and not updated. And I would have updated if I'd known to do it, but apparently it may not have been able to be done anyway. So, as a result, I would have to have called Dell to get them to try to find a way to update this thing, and then I would have to call Microsoft back, and I was just running out of time because I had a lot of other things that had to be done. And so, as a result, I just said, screw it. I just like to do this every now and then. I've been thinking of getting a new computer anyway because of the age of the other one, and also because it just doesn't have the guts to run some of the stuff that I want to do. My laptop is struggling with the same program, the same video editing program that I'm using, and it's only a 2-year-old machine. So I went on the Dell website, and I found, the high-end desktops, the ones that aren't quite business ones, but are like beyond what the gamers use. And I figured that I needed something that had big hard drive, a solid state drive also, great memory, huge video card, and gobs and gobs of speed. So I went to the high-end one, which was listed as $1,100, and by the time I got done with adding all of the upgrades and stuff that I got, I ended up with a $2,700 computer. Thank God the investments have come back well lately. So I ordered it. I pulled the trigger. I said, you know what? Screw it. I also had to get, the Microsoft Office suite, and that It's not cheap, so it's going to be here in a month. And of course, when the time it gets here, I will have the power to do all these things without worrying about it, at least until the next 10 years it can pass. And by that time, I'll be too old to use a computer anyway, I suppose. Now, with the older computer, I can have data from that recovered and saved, and I can load it onto my new computer at some point. That's not a cheap thing, and there aren't that many people that do it well. I'm going to talk to some fellow from Walpole who allegedly does it well, but I also made contact with a national company that I would have to package up the hard drive and bring it and send it to Cleveland or something like that. And I'm a little, I know it's a national company with offices in just about every state, but I'm a little worried about that because it's financial data. It's no porno. I'm just an old man who just doesn't care about stuff like that. But personal things, copies of what I was writing, the novels, which none of them will ever be finished. If you see this thing, that's where they stuck the IV in. Just letters to people. All of my templates for my football flip cards and everything that I used during my broadcast, and the basketball ones too. So yeah, there was a ton of stuff that was going to be lost. 2 years of tax returns that I use TurboTax, and each year it refers back to the previous year and brings in data that you need. I love saying data because I keep thinking of Patrick Stewart saying data. But anyway, so I'm going to look into that. It's not going to be cheap, but hey, what the hell? I mean, how many years do I have left? I'm 66, like I said before, huh? Spend the money. Business expense. So that's the deal. That was the lead-in to having my knee cut open. And you talk about nothing ever happens conveniently. Am I true? Am I right about this? Nothing ever happens conveniently. You don't never have a crisis, and then a period of peace, and then another crisis later. No, you have a period of peace, and then like 10 crises all on top of each other, and it's like, oh my God. And I'm getting too old for this. So that's why I bought a pipe, and I'll never smoke it. Just because I need playthings. Just to take my mind off of some things. But the knee feels great still, and we're at about 9 o'clock at night, and I haven't had any issues with it. I'll take a few more pills and my usual medications, and I have, you should see this, I have a pyramid built on my bed of pillows that I will have to elevate my knee on. It's going to be fun. So anyway, that's the story of the computer. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I have another story for you tonight. I do accounting cars like I did down the Cape, but I haven't had I have had everything, but I've been too busy. I mean, I could have done counting operations today. When I went in there were 3 other people. I'm sitting there at 6 o'clock in the morning with a nurse and receptionist, and she's taking all my information. Then all of a sudden, 3 other people come in, within 2 minutes, and they're all having surgeries, and they're all fairly young, a lot younger than I was. And you know what? It was a very pleasant time. They were all, everybody's wearing a mask like they should. And they were all just kind of joking around about, hey, here we are at this time of the morning and we're having surgery. Isn't that wonderful? But again, I can't say enough about the people at Brigham and Women's, and I thank them for this. Now, again, I was just reminded by a good friend of mine not to think I could go out and run a marathon tomorrow. Well, I've never been someone who could run a marathon, but I remember in training camp at Bryan College years ago, I tried to run the 40-yard dash to see how fast I could. Oh, terrible. Because that's what the football players are judged by, what they run the 40 in. A good wide receiver can run it in about 4.3 seconds. Offensive linemen, even though they're big, if they're swift on their feet, they can actually get a sub 5. I mean, a 5 second or maybe 5.5 seconds. I remember there was a linebacker, and linebackers you expect to be about that 4.99, 5.0 area. There was a linebacker who played for the Patriots a long time ago, and I can't remember his name, but we referred to him by his 40 time, which was like about 5.8, which was miserable for a linebacker. So we would always say, hey, there's 5.8. He did not wear number 58. I don't remember what he wore, and he wasn't around for long anyway. But we did have a writer's 40-yard dash one time. And I think Jimmy Donaldson, formerly of the Providence Journal, won it. I can't remember his time. I don't think it was under 5 seconds. I think it was maybe 5.2 or something like that. I was at about 6 seconds, and I think I pulled a hamstring at the end of it. And I was nowhere near as big then as I am now. So, okay, that was something I probably shouldn't have done. And but it was fun to remember that because I miss those days. At Bryan College, and I'll just go off on a tangent just to fill in a few more minutes. When the Patriots used to train at Bryan College, it was a much different thing. I've talked about this before, so I don't have to go into great depth. But it was fun for the fans, but it was also fun for us, the writers. We were younger, for one thing. I made some great friends in those days. Alice Cook of Channel 4 was a terrific friend. Always happy to see her when she showed up there at camp. Lisa Olson was a good friend, and I met her earlier in a high school game. She was covering a major high school event in our area, and I got to know her, and we became friendly. And she and I were friends even through the great controversy that happened with the players exposing themselves to her in the locker room early in the was it the 1990 season, and the worst part of that is I had to give a 5.5-hour deposition in a lawyer's office in Cambridge as part of the big lawsuits and everything that followed. I actually remember sitting in my car at a softball game in Brockton, a high school tournament softball game. And I'm sitting in my car talking on the phone to Lisa as she was about to move to New Zealand because of all the crap that happened around here from players and everybody else who treated her like dirt. And it was a long conversation, and it was a very painful conversation, and I was very sad to see her go. But to be honest, she was fleeing a situation that was just absolutely horrible. Now, and say what you want about Rupert Murdoch, I will give him credit for one thing. He is one of the most controversial media people in the world, and he owned the Boston Herald at the time. But he gave Lisa the chance to work at overseas properties of his, so that she could get away from the problems here and just sort of rebuild her life. And as you know, she became a really, really strong writer and columnist for the New York papers, and I think now she's a teaching fellow. I think she still works for the Athletic. I think it is. I'll have to look that up. But she also was a teaching fellow for the university. Is it the Arizona State's? I should look these things up before I come on here. It's the Walter Cronkite School of Broadcasting. I think in one of the. It's in Phoenix, and I believe it's from Arizona State University. So I'll look that up, Google it, and then send me an email and tell me I'm an idiot because I got it wrong. And speaking of sending me emails, I guess that's going to be it for tonight's episode of The Owner's Box After Dark. Man, I should dye my hair black and get a smoking jacket. Or maybe I should wear pajamas. I could do the later half. The only problem is I have to hire somebody to come in here and look like they're interested in me. Well, people have done that. I don't pay for it, folks. I'm sorry. But anyway, you can see I'm in a good mood. I'm happy that my knee is fixed, or at least it appears to be right now. Let's see what it feels like in another week or so. But man, what a load off my shoulders. I'm telling you, it was a great feeling today. So, first things first, the email address of the newspaper. The email address of the program, of the website that I run, which has links to all of my podcasts. I'm also probably a little giddy from whatever they're giving me, so don't hold it against me. Podcasts, video and audio, writing, restaurant reviews, coffee reviews, all sorts of fun stuff at www.theownersbox2020.com. Type in the www because I think there might be an error otherwise, but if you type it in, you'll get to Blogging Fearlessly, and you should be able to see a lot of fun stuff there. Now, if you are wondering if you should tell me of all the mistakes I made tonight, you can do it by email. The email address for The Owner's Box and Blogging Fearlessly is theownersbox2020@gmail.com. Send me something. And also, as it scrolls across the screen, it makes things a lot easier to watch. And if you want to send snail mail, and I've been begging people to send me snail mail. I didn't even get to the post office today, but I really want to see if there's anything in that mailbox that I just got other than spiders and dust. The address is The Owner's Box, Post Office Box 272, Mansfield, Massachusetts, 02048. And that's where we stand here in, I think, week 23, or is it 24, of the pandemic. Still hanging in there, still staying safe. So happy my test was negative, which was a very positive thing for me, as the president would say. And please stay safe. Please don't do anything I wouldn't do. Don't cough in people's faces. Don't hang around in crowds. Wear the masks, please. I don't want to hear any of these stories about people in this state claiming it's some sort of affront to their constitutional rights. We're trying to stay alive, people. And when you get to people to be my age and you got pre-existing conditions, you really worry about these things, and I have for several months. And I'm worried about my friends, and I'm worried about all sorts of people I know. Please wear masks. Stay safe. Be good. And good night, everybody.